Roger, go for deploy.
If you give somebody a hammer, they can either use that hammer to bash a nail in the wall, or they can use it to bash somebody over the head with it. You know, it's like hypnosis. If I give somebody the tool to use it for good, if they go and use it for bad, then, you know, it's really not good on us.
Alrighty guys, welcome back to Adventure Radio. This week on the show we had the legendary, Australia's most famous, I believe, hypnotist, Mark Anthony. Now Mark Anthony, according to his good self, has performed in front of crowds of 10,000. He's hypnotized people from all over the world into chickens and ducks and Tom Hearns from Adventure Radios. But more importantly, guys, he's just a really, really good dude with a very, I guess, almost science-based understanding of what hypnotism actually really is. So people just see all the you know, the comedy and the funny stuff, but there is actually a little bit of science to support hypnotism, and we had a lot of that talk. We spoke about a lot of the ability for the subconscious to be easily influenced, and we spoke a lot about, you know, control groups and what can happen with hypnotism and what people can actually do. And I mean, there's stories that he was telling us of people actually curing anxiety and following their dreams and doing things they never thought possible, public speaking and all that sort of stuff. So it's a really fascinating episode for you guys. It was really cool. We Skyped him in for Queensland. Our sponsors, guys, Audible. Audible is a hub of books. It is hundreds of thousands of books on a single app. And the reason I love it is because I get a little bit smarter every time I get through a book. And you can listen to whatever sort of book you want, non-fiction, fiction, just those. You listen to all sorts of things, guys. It's such a good app. It's my favorite app. I try to get through at least a book a week. I have the benefit of being able to do that whilst I'm at work. I can listen to a podcast or a book whilst I'm plastering, and it's just phenomenal, team. So I really, really encourage you guys to go check out Audible. Even if you're not a big reader, listening is just, if not a better way to actually get yourself a book in and get yourself a little bit more educated. So our offer, guys, head to www.audibletrial.com/ADVF radio. You will get one free credit when you sign up for our subscription, which is $14.99 a month, and you get a free book to go along with that. So Audible Trial team. We are also sponsored by Adventure Fit Travel. Adventure Fit Travel is a travel company for the fitness community, team, but not just the fitness community. It can be anyone. We have a ton of good trips coming up for you guys. Our second Iceland trip was announced a few months back, and spots are slowly filling up. I think we have about 4 spots available left on that one. We also have New Zealand next year, Australia, Papua New Guinea next year as well, and private trips as well. So this sounds like something you want to do. Head to adventurefittravel.com and you can receive 10% off all merchandise when you use the code word radio. Until then, guys, here is Mark Anthony.
Alrighty guys, welcome back to Adventure Fit Radio. We are sitting here today with Mark Anthony. Before we throw over and welcome Mark officially into the show, as usual, we'll start us off with a little rendition of Tommy's tribute.
Alrighty, Mark, welcome to the show, my friend. I have been playing a few acoustic numbers of late, and by late I mean ever since we started the show. And this one is a Metallica cover. It's called Nothing Else Matters Except Mark Anthony. Here we go. Oh, that's so good. Yep, I'm killing this. Alright, here we go. It's very sensual. So close, but yet so weird. Mark Anthony is well revered. He's a hypnotist, but he's not feared. And nothing else matters. Trust me when I say it's all real. If asked, he could make you squeal. He could even turn you into a will. And nothing else matters. Never cared for corporate finance. Never cared for full-time desk work. Hypnotism is what he wanted. Well, I think that you should flaunt it. And I'm excited. So close, no matter how far. Let's trick Bill into doing something bizarre. Even if it's saying Allahu Akbar. And nothing else matters. Welcome, Mark.
What a great serenade. Well done.
Thank you, mate.
Welcome, Mark, and Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar to the listeners.
We already got him. Mate, you are very good.
How did you do that?
Mate, he even thought he was good himself. So there you go.
Oh, shit. Hey, Mark, thanks for coming on the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. And, yeah, all right. Well, why don't we start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself and how you became a hypnotist.
Sure, absolutely. I'm actually an international stage hypnotist. I travel the world and work on 5 major cruise lines. I do shows in theatres, RSLs, TV, radio. I perform everywhere, really, and I've also got a clinic on the Gold Coast, so I'm a certified clinical hypnotist. I've just also become an author as well, so it's it's been many years. I've been doing this 16 years professionally, and I enjoy every minute of it. I don't think there's a day that goes by where I don't enjoy it. It's just being able to make people laugh with the hypnosis shows, and then obviously helping them with many issues, personal issues that they've got in the therapy clinic. It's wonderful. I'm very, very fortunate that I've got a career that I absolutely love so far. I was always somebody that was quite, I suppose, manipulative, but not in a. That probably sounds too bad.
Doesn't sound great, mate. You sound like a
say about yourself. Yeah,
I was always a criminal.
That's it. No, I was actually. I was a young rogue when I was younger, and I used manipulation in many different ways to get what I wanted when I was young from the sort of guys I used to hang around with, and not in that way, of course, but.
You're making this pretty rough for you, mate.
That way, of course. Not there's anything wrong with that.
Yes.
That's it, exactly. And I've just always had that interest in hypnosis since I was probably 8 years old. I saw a movie called Svengali, which was an old black and white movie many years ago. I grew up in a children's home for a few years, and I remember the movie so well. And it was about a hypnotist. He was an evil hypnotist, but it wasn't that intrigued me, I must be honest. It was just the fact that he was, using a watch and hypnotising people to do certain things. And I just, later on in life, I got more and more into the mind, and I then realised later on in life that what I was doing in my businesses and what I was doing when I made people feel happy and feel good about themselves, it was all manipulation. It was all suggestion, manipulation, and I just found I had a natural way of hypnotising people, and today, fortunately, I'm, very successful in what I do. So I still enjoy every minute of it.
So Mark, how closely related is all of the stuff you see in the TV shows and the movie shows, like with the watches and you are getting sleepy, and how closely related is that stuff to the actual stuff you do to hypnotise someone?
Oh, very much. Yeah, very much. And I do use a watch sometimes in therapy. I don't use it on stage because on stage you're looking to get people hypnotised very, very quickly, and just get them to do what you need them to do on stage, following your suggestions. So you're always getting, asking people to leave the stage as well. There's, if I've got 100 people on stage, I might end up with 70 or sometimes 60. So you're always going to get those that aren't going to go under deep enough and quick enough to use in the show. So you don't have time to use a watch on stage. But in therapy, sure enough, yeah, I use a watch. I also stare into people's eyes and put them to sleep that way. So it's a very powerful tool. It's a very natural tool for everybody. Everyone goes in and out of hypnosis every single day. We all go in and out of trance every single day. Hypnosis is in between the wake state and the sleep state. So we go through hypnosis to go to sleep at night. And every person, even you guys all the time, every person, if they're driving and they get home before they realise they're home and they go, oh, wow, I'm home already. That's because they went into a trance and their subconscious mind got them home safely. Watching TV, reading a really good book, you really get engrossed into either the TV movie or the book, and you go into trance. So when people are calling you from another room and they're saying, "Oh, Bill, Tom, are you listening to me?" and you go, "Oh," and I'm sure you two do it to each other all the time.
But I don't listen to a word he says, mate.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, our professional relationship doesn't really show what we are as mates. We hate each other.
We're not mates.
Yeah, we're not mates.
I bet you're actually sitting in different places, aren't you now?
Yeah, I'm actually Skyping to the Congo.
Yeah, I'm in the Caribbean. Yeah.
So, everyone goes in and out of trance every day. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool. And like I say, everyone can be hypnotised. Different levels, they're called trance states, and some people go into a very light trance state, some go into a very deep trance state. The only people that can't be hypnotised is people that are mentally ill or people that are on a lot of drugs or really drunk, and that's because they can't focus properly. So that's you two straight away.
Yeah, we're both.
Yeah, well, I'm on heroin right now, so.
I can help.
Yeah.
So, Mark, how does the first question that comes to mind for me, and I'm sure everybody out there that's probably listening to this show, is how does it actually work? Because obviously a lot of people think that hypnotists are con men and it's all bullshit and so on and so forth. I'm sure you've dealt with a lot of that over your career. So tell us how scientifically, and logistically, how do you actually hypnotize someone? What goes through the human brain to really hand over the reins to someone like yourself?
Sure, okay. It's you're bypassing the critical mind. The critical mind's the one that says now. If I said to you, I'm going to hypnotise you, and your critical part of your mind might go, whoa, no chance. But once I've tapped into the subconscious mind by bypassing the critical mind, the conscious mind, that's when we're then, I shouldn't say in control, but then we've got a rein on you for helping you in certain ways or making you do things on stage. Hypnosis is all self-hypnosis. And, like I say, anyone can be hypnotised. But there's certain people that are easier than others. 25% of the nation would go into a very deep sleep and go. And when I say sleep, I don't mean that sort of sleep. I mean you're fully aware of everything that's going on around you at all times. And even when I give people the suggestions on stage to do something, with their eyes closed, they're sitting there thinking, "There's no way I'm going to do that."
Yeah.
And as soon as I 1, 2, 3, eyes open, instantly their subconscious part of their mind kicks in and they instantly start playing a piano or belly dance or start smoking an imaginary joint. It's instantly. So it's a very, very powerful tool. And with anything, it's like a friend of mine says, well, I'm very, very particular on who I train in hypnosis, and anyone that comes on my courses, they have to have a police check, a first aid certificate, a blue card for working with children. So there's many things that I do as an academy compared to anyone else. So many people will train anybody out there just for the dollar. And I think it's like anything. A friend of mine said, well, if you give somebody a hammer, they can either use that hammer to bash a nail in the wall or they can use it to bash somebody over the head with it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like hypnosis. If I give somebody the tool to use it for good, if they go and use it for bad, then, it's really not good on us.
Definitely don't teach us.
We'll start bashing each other with our own hammers.
Hey Mark, can I bring you back again though? Because and I am a believer in hypnosis, because I had a football function many years ago, and one of the guys that was in the crowd that got up on stage was a police officer, a very, very serious police officer, and the hypnotist convinced him that one of his friends in the audience had stolen his dick. And he was acting like he had his penis stolen.
Genuine.
On stage. Genuine.
Oh, you told me this.
This guy was straight,
Yes.
straight down the line, police officer, and I've seen it with my own eyes. I do believe in it.
I've seen his cock with my own eyes.
But I must say, I didn't really understand, and going back to how it actually, so you've said that you got to get past the critical thinking mind and you access the subconscious mind, but how do you do that? It says, I'm looking at your website now, and it says you're a master neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. So can you explain a little bit deeper, because I genuinely want to know, and I'm sure others do, that how you access the subconscious mind?
Okay, well, you're accessing it by, like an analytical person, for instance. What I would do, I'd actually get them to think of many, many different things and do something in particular so that I can then bypass their critical mind, because they're harder to hypnotize. Mm-hmm. Once I'm tapped into it, as I say, I can pretty much get them to do anything within the reason, and that's why in the wrong hands it can be very dangerous. So by bypassing it, you're using different voice tonality, you're using different suggestions, aversion techniques. You can use and diversion techniques. So you're always using different methods to put different people under. So when somebody does a stage show, and obviously not every hypnotist can do a stage show, that's the thing as well. Mm-hmm. The hypnotherapist will gently relax you and put you into a trance, whereas a stage hypnotist is very commanding and very demanding that you go to sleep. And you're basically following his instructions, his suggestions all the time. So if he's lowering his voice, for instance, and my voice is the only important thing to you from now on, that's then obviously instantly your subconscious part of your mind went, oh, hang on, what happened there? His voice went lower. And although you might not notice it consciously, subconsciously it notices. Well, by that time, you're basically adding things like the click of the fingers, and then you're basically getting them into that position where you're then bypassing the critical mind because it's thinking of other things. And then you're tapping into the subconscious by doing that.
Are you hypnotising me now, mate? Because my appendage is rising, irrespective of my ability to control that. So I'm up and about.
And that's it. It's like Skype. The thing is, some hypnotists use Skype to hypnotise people.
Really?
Absolutely. But to me, I will only hypnotise people on Skype if they've had sessions with me. And I'll give you a prime example why, if you've got time, because it's very important that people understand how dangerous it can be in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
A guy emailed me once, and I'm so protective for this profession. A guy emailed me and he said, look, I've been learning off of YouTube Hypnosis, and I've been hypnotising a girl in Canada. This was an Australian guy.
Oh, shit.
He said, I've been hypnotising a girl in Canada, and I've done it quite a few times with her, and, it's all been good. But now the Skype thing ended. She ended the Skype session. She was crying her eyes out. I think I've opened a can of worms about her childhood. And he said, what do I do? So because I grew up in a very rough environment, sometimes that Londoner in me comes out, and I just said, you stop pissing around with it. You get her in to see somebody who's a certified clinical hypnotist, not somebody that's been messing around with it on the internet.
Yeah.
You get her sorted out. I said, you've now opened a can of worms that is so dangerous to her mentally. And so that's the sort of thing you're doing. There's been, if you look at Hypnosis Gone Wrong on YouTube, you'll see some complete idiots just playing with it.
Jeez.
And you'll see them, a guy wheeled off the stage in his wheelchair. So, there's people that are pulling people backwards and they're banging their head on the floor, and it just, in the wrong hands, is so ridiculous. And that's very offended.
Yeah, absolutely. Surely there would be some classic hypnosis gone wrong videos on YouTube, though. I would imagine.
There are. And the wheelchair one's one of the ones that sticks in my head so much. I mean, the guy was a stage hypnotist, and safety to me for my volunteers is the number one thing. On the ship, I can have 120 people on stage sometimes, and I'm the only person on that stage that's watching. My eyes are like eagle eyes, just watching everybody. So the safety factor to me is huge. And the hypnotist in this particular video obviously had no safety factor. There was no safety involved. He just, obviously it was and every stage hypnotist has to have an ego. I will tell. It doesn't have to be a huge ego, but they've got to have an ego to perform anyway. So this guy, obviously his ego was bigger than his safety factors, and there was no safety in place. And he said something about, everybody will dance, and this guy in his wheelchair just wheeled straight off the stage and bang. So,
shit.
But on the positive side, he cured his paraplegia.
So Mark, when you've got people up on stage who are non-believers, because when I did when the guy was at my football club, I'm sure you know him actually. It was Rowan Gazard.
Bizarre Gazard. Yeah, very good. Yes.
Yeah, very hilarious guy, like real showman stuff. I got up there and I wasn't having any of it. I couldn't get hypnotized. So you guys have to filter those people out straight away. So there's like everyone on stage is kind of believers. Is that how you figure it out?
You, did he?
No,
I sat up there. And it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, see what you've done though. You've gone on stage saying this isn't going to happen to me.
Yep.
I always say to people, look, if you've been sitting there saying to your friends, well, I'm going up just to prove you can't hypnotise me, then there's no point coming up. If you're a skeptic, then I always welcome you on stage, because skeptics go under much quicker, because they don't expect it to happen.
Wow.
So if I have got a skeptic on stage, which I have in nearly every show, I've got many skeptics up there, it's great, because after the show they'll say, well, I was a complete skeptic. I've seen it on TV and I've seen you do this on YouTube, and I just didn't ever think it would happen to me. And they're dancing around like a chicken or a ballerina, and it's wonderful when you've got skeptics, because then you've got believers again.
Yeah.
But the people that go up fighting it, no, you're right, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And so Mark, like we've all seen the stuff on stage and on Australia's Got Talent and all that sort of stuff about, people being transformed to chickens and dancing and all that sort of stuff. But like, what are some of the genuinely beneficial sort of health things that hypnotherapy can really help with? That was a really bizarre way of answering the question, starting the question.
Good question though.
That's a good question. Yeah. Stop smoking, lose weight. I deal with all sorts of things: anxiety, stress, sleep issues. Today it's a guy with a sexual issue. It's I've got females with orgasmia, and you've got to understand there's some serious. Although they might sound quite amusing to us, premature ejaculation. And
we are secretly, me and Tommy are secretly giggling. But beneath our microphones.
I'm afraid I don't understand the sentence "sexual issue."
And then I heard orgasmia.
Yeah, that's right, orgasmia.
Like, that sounds great.
It's like Steve Orgasmia. He's in corporate finance.
People that can't orgasm is a huge thing to a lot of people.
And you can unlock that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're not. Everybody,
are we talking? How much
hummus are we talking?
How much time do you need to tell for it? Yeah.
Oh shit! I can't figure out what service we're paying for here.
It's a very serious problem though to a lot of people, and although I'm sitting here laughing with you about it, when they're in front of you with that serious issue of erection problems, premature ejaculation and orgasmia, they're huge to those particular people. So, to help them resolve it is the most wonderful feeling, to see somebody go away that's been smoking for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, and they go away as happy non-smokers. It's wonderful to see somebody lose a lot of weight, to see somebody start sleeping better. Sports people, most top sports people use hypnosis. They've got a sports hypnotist or a sports psychologist.
Yeah.
So, because everyone needs their mind kept on track. You two know it's all about mindset.
Yeah,
I've seen some of it's all about your mindset. If you've got a negative mindset, you're going nowhere. you have a positive and a confident mindset, you're going to do it.
Yeah. Can I ask, just obviously when you've got someone on stage and you're making them bark like a chicken or, something really
Bark
silly.
like a chicken.
Yeah, no. But in all seriousness, if it's on stage where you only need to control the person's kind of thoughts and subconscious for a short amount of time for a stage performance, how does it differ to do something like, quit smoking, change their diet, things of this nature that are much longer term? I feel like in my mind, I'm looking at Inception, the movie, where you go into someone's subconscious, into their dreams, and obviously you rewrite their dreams, and then they have those thoughts that will continue on in their waking life. That's what I'm thinking, and I'm just
exactly right.
Well, I should be a hypnotist.
And that's because you've got what you do when you start, if you want to say dreaming or imagining that you can't do something, you're not going to do it. Yeah. So once you adjust that, or once you amend it and actually then get what you're doing, you're building brand new neural pathways every time. Mm-hmm. So even if it's negative or positive, your subconscious mind doesn't know if it's wrong or right. It just knows what you're feeding it. So if you feed it negative, I'm overweight, I can't do this, I can't do that, you're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. The subconscious mind thinks it can do anything. So once somebody's under hypnosis, it thinks it can do anything. If I say you can lift 1,000 pounds in weight, you can lift 1,000 pounds in weight. Your subconscious mind thinks that you can lift 1,000 pounds in weight. It doesn't have, it won't say no to anything. Yeah. And that's the great thing about subconscious. It's so powerful and it believes it can do anything. It's only the critical mind, the fight or flight mind, that gets in the way. So if you get past that, and you tap into the part of the mind that believes it can do anything, you then basically building brand new neural pathways like Inception, which obviously is, although that is obviously slightly different on TV, but you're basically doing the same thing, and then you're reinforcing it with suggestions. So every day, and I might say something at the end of a session like, every time you see the colour blue, those wonderful positive suggestions will be reinforced into the mind. So every time they see blue, instantly the subconscious mind's reinforcing them.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Because it's just like any skill. It's like strengthening neurological pathways is what obviously you do when you're training for any sort of sport or any skill or anything in life. So I totally get that. And then I wasn't sure how it connected with like with continuing it long term. So you just build something in there that'll make them just always be reinforcing that pathway, so it gets stronger and stronger and stronger till it's the default pathway.
Absolutely. It takes 21 days for the subconscious mind to turn something into a subconscious habit.
Right.
And that's what it does. And that's by listening and reinforcing it daily. So every day, and obviously it doesn't work for every single thing. If you say I'm going to be a millionaire in 21 days, then obviously even the subconscious mind is going to go, that's bullshit. So it's, there's some things it won't be able to do in 21 days. But if a sports person says, okay, I'm going to do that time in 21 days, and they're already a good sports person, obviously, a runner or something, then in 21 days, the subconscious mind will do everything it can to work towards that target or goal. Yeah. It becomes focused purely on that target or goal. So it then becomes a subconscious habit. A prime example of that is my little girl's just learning to do her shoelaces up. And it's obviously the scoop, the loop. And now she's doing it fine. She's now not even looking around. She's just, she's just looking around at anything now and just doing it automatically because it's now a subconscious habit. And that's what we do. And it's the same with anybody, a smoker. They're not addicted to the nicotine most of the time. They're addicted to the habit. Because that's what they've done. They've built up a subconscious habit in their mind. They automatically do it, and that's what that's how we learn certain things. So Inception, really, I know it's a far-fetched movie in some respects, but it's actually the way it works.
So, what as a certified clinical hypnotist, what do you see most commonly? I'd assume smoking would be the most common. What are the most common things that people come to you for, and what are the success rates of these things? What do people walk away with normally?
Stop smoking. I've actually developed my own method, which is called the Simply Easy method, And if I go on the money back guarantee that I offer, I've got a 98% success rate.
Shit.
Wow.
And that's because
insane.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a 3-hour seminar. It's not just come in, close your eyes, and you hypnotise them, because everyone's so different. Every smoker has a reason or an excuse to carry on smoking. And I used to be a 30-day smoker.
Yeah.
So we've all got reasons and excuses to carry on smoking. I break all those reasons and excuses down, for instance, and then we'll do the hypnosis part at the end of the seminar, and that's obviously reinforcing it. The weight loss, I do a lot of weight loss, and again, it's all focus and targets. You set yourself targets and goals, and it's like anything. You can either make it easy on yourself by not doing it, or you can go through that slight uphill battle sometimes and do it. And that's what we're looking for all the time. So, yeah, you're right. Stop smoking, lose weight are two of the biggest. Sleep issues is another one, and confidence. They're huge as well. And I love helping people with those things. It's the most wonderful feeling to watch them walk away and be more confident, lose weight, happy non-smoker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
And so, Mark, why is it still then thought of as a what's the word?
Fringe science.
Yeah, like a fringe sort of pseudoscience then.
Well, it's because you've got to remember, when you see it on TV, it looks like the hypnotist is controlling everything that person does. And although they are, in a sense, what you've got to remember is it takes it's like certain hypnotists on TV, and even when I've been on TV, if I hypnotise someone, they've already pre-hypnotised before the TV airs. So once the show's on, I just say, sleep, they're already pre-hypnotised anyway. So but it's more powerful for the TV. Many people use hypnosis every day. Advertising companies, Hypnotic Language, religions, cults. Many people use Hypnotic Language. And that's the problem nowadays, because many people, especially many religions, they think it's the occult. But what many followers don't understand of those religions is that they're being hypnotised every time that certain person who's up there talking to them is talking. So it's just suggestion. It's hypnotic language, and we all use it in everyday life every day.
So some of these leaders, who's the guy from the Book of the Mormon Church?
I know who you're talking about.
Jacob
John Smith. You mean the guy who started it?
Look. For example, some of these. Yeah. No, I was talking about the guy that's
Joseph Smith.
Yeah. No, I was talking about the guy at the moment from the Mormon movie.
Conor McGregor.
Look, just basically, my question was how do people? What's an example of how to talk to somebody that will be in a hypnotic state? Obviously, prime examples are Adolf Hitler. Obviously, was he somebody that would probably use that language? People talk about the fact that Donald Trump, in all of his speeches, plants.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Plants subconscious ways for people to think, and he's actually a master.
It's propaganda and it's suggestion.
Yeah. So how do these advanced leaders or these leaders of cult-like movements, like you say, when you say hypnotic language, what do you mean by that?
Suggestion stuff.
Well, again, do you remember I said earlier about lowering the tone of my voice for sleep that I use? Mm-hmm. And those type of words, when I lower my voice, is then I just basically lower the voice so the subconscious mind picks up on it. If you watch any of the leaders, any of the parliamentary candidates, any of the parliamentary leaders, even here, even the people here, Rudd and Blair, they all use hypnotic language. Donald Trump uses it. Yes, he does. So do all the others that ran for president.
It's all fake news. It's all fake news. It's all fake news. Billions and billions of fake news.
And they would have their speeches written by somebody that's very, very good at NLP or hypnotic language. They have to be, because that's how you get people to listen to you. Like I said, religious leaders, absolutely. Many of them, cults, hypnotic language purely. Some of the bigger ones, the bigger like Scientology.
That's what I was looking for. Scientology,
right.
not Mormon.
Scientology.
Hubbard.
Yes,
yeah, but the new guy, the guy that's at the top now, the
Tom
guy that's
Cruise.
in the.
That's it. Yeah. Or if you actually, there's a lot on the internet about them, and everyone to their own. I've got no. I'm not bagging anybody, but it's hypnotic language. Benny well, one of the greatest evangelists out there. If you watch some of my shows, I pull backwards people all the time and push them backwards into somebody else's arms. It's hypnosis.
Yes.
You're building up that trance state in people. And then the moment they're in that frenzy, you just say sleep, and you're just hitting them and they're out. That's when these so-called, people that are doing work for somebody else up there, that's when they'll tell you it's all in the name of something else. And again, that's their own belief. But those people that they've just hypnotized are in full belief that they've just been cured.
Yeah, so Adolf Hitler was he was very famous for. There's a specific speech that I went and saw, and just when I was studying history, and he actually waited until there was complete silence in this room of probably thousands of people, complete silence, and then he started speaking very, very quietly to make sure people really had to tune in to listen to him. And what he also did was plant people at different corners of the room so that they'd start clapping at points that he wanted them to clap, and then people would just habitually start clapping and then it would just bring in all that sort of suggestion stuff. But Benny Hill, mate, Benny Hill's a fascinating one. I was going to...
Benny Hill or Benny Hinn?
Sorry, Benny Hill.
Benny Hill's the.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that's so true. That's right. Sorry, yes. No, I'm talking about the evangelical fundamentalist. So when you look at something like that, is there kind of we touched on how dangerous this can be before, but do you think there's any sort of danger in spreading this sort of evangelical approach to religion? Basically through the suggestion of hypnotherapy? Do you reckon he truly believes that he is getting the power of God through him, or do you think he just kind of thinks that he's just a really good hypnotherapist?
I'm sure he believes that. Like I say, look, there's everyone to their own beliefs, and I'm sure he truly believes that he's been sent by the big man above or the big lady above, whoever's up there, So, I do believe that they, many of them truly believe that. But when I look at, some a religion like that, and I look at all the billions of dollars that they've got, because they use, well, you've got to remember that sometimes they use scare tactics. If you ever listen to some of those people, I'm not saying him in particular, I'm just saying certain groups.
Yes.
Use scare tactics like, if you leave this religion, you do realise that God will probably punish you by giving you cancer. And that is, that's how they work. Many of them use that, and it's such a shame because they've got them into that particular group or religion or cult or whatever by using hypnotic language, by using that sort of method. If you give us $1,000, then, the Lord or whoever is going to, rid you of that cancer that you've got, or he's going to open the gates up to you once you get up there. And it's such a shame that they use that type of language and that type of suggestibility on people to basically take money from them.
Totally. Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm not really into religion, institutionalized religion at all, because there's so much if you don't do this or if you do this, this will happen. And obviously I'm only talking about, with respect to many sort of religions that are just based on pure spirituality, but it's that institutionalized religion that's very much this will happen and this will happen. It's like, come on, mate, I'm just an Aussie Bella.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm not really. I was brought up Catholic because my dad's Italian, but apart from that, no, I'm probably the same. I'm sure there's many higher beings out there, but I certainly can't sit here and say there's only one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it's used in many of those things, though. Many religions, many cults, many everyday things. It's why you guys have, buy certain clothes, for instance, or certain shoes, or certain cars, because it's all instilled in you that particular clothing or that particular car is the best one to buy.
Yeah, it's crazy. The whole world just works on
marketing and suggestion.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, Mark, I got another question for you that I wanted to get out, because we know we got to go to 6 from 6 pretty soon and then get you out of here. But I wanted to know, so people with traumas that may have happened in their past, people with self-image issues, things of this nature. Do you deal with any of that? And if so, how do you approach people that come to you with personal issues like that want to get it hypnotized out of them?
Sure, yeah, I deal with lots and lots and lots of those types of things. So a prime example of those sorts of things, again, like I said to you, we believe anything, especially if we look up to somebody, we believe a lot of what they're saying. So when we're younger, if somebody keeps telling us, well, you're so ugly, you're just an ugly kid. God, I don't know how you come out of that womb, or you're just so ugly. That sort of thing sticks to some kids. Although it might not stick to me or you, it will stick to certain other people. So instantly you
the ugly bastards.
Yeah, the ugly ones.
I'm going there because I'm not the best.
Sorry, Mark.
Thanks for radio.
Sorry, Mark. Continue on.
Another when I come out instead. And again, you see, the mind believes it in certain people. The subconscious mind will start believing it. Then it will keep watering it and keep layering it through life.
Totally.
So then you start to believe you've got a body issue, or you've got, an issue with the way you look, or, that you're overweight. And hence the reason certain people come to see me for any of those things. And I treat a lot of people. And see, under hypnosis, you've got to remember also all of your senses are heightened. So once you're hypnotized and all your senses are heightened, it's easier to make you start believing that you're better looking, that you're actually a good looking guy, that you're unique, that you're not overweight. It's because all your senses are so heightened, then they'll start to believe it and take it on board.
And when you're talking about this stuff that you do with people, comparing yourself to a psychologist, like obviously there's some very slippery slopes, I would imagine. Like how do you make sure that what you're saying to these certain people that might have pretty heavy issues deep down, how do you make sure that you're not overstepping your boundary in that regard? Did you have to do any special training to deal with these sort of cases? Like Tommy, for example, wants to help people in mental health, but like you're doing what's it called?
A counselling diploma.
A counselling diploma. At the very first step, so he can deal with people. Like,
Yes.
Did you have to cover off any bases in that regard? Like, how do you? Yeah.
People with mental health issues, we won't actually go there. We would put them onto a trained psychologist or psychiatrist or somebody else that's fully trained up in that area.
Yes.
And any hypnotist that takes them on has really got to be trained in that area. And if they're not, then they shouldn't be taking them on.
Yeah.
Totally.
There's no doubts about it. You shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And so,
well,
but what about people that come to you with sort of confidence issues or anxiety issues and things like that? Is there kind of like a degree of severity of which you sort of assess them on, or?
No, not so. When they come to us, I always get them to fill out the forms that I get them to fill out. Actually, say, have you spoken to your doctor to make sure it's okay to come here and use hypnosis? That really, you've only got to go on their word. It's like if I said to either of you two, well, come in and see me, and you don't write down on your form that you've got mental health issues. I'm not going to know that.
Yes.
It's all about you being honest, and I say that to every client that I get. You be honest with me, and we can fix the issue.
Yeah.
If you're not honest with me, then you might as well leave now.
Totally.
Because it's all about being honest. Once you're honest, we can go back to this life or past life or wherever we take you to get rid of the issue. And there are come to us for past life regression and things as well, because some things don't happen in this life. They might have happened in the womb or a past life. So we take them back to past lives on many, many occasions.
Yeah.
And I guess one final thing I wanted to ask you, Mark, before we move into 6 from 6 is, have you personally ever yourself been hypnotised and what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was. It took me 6 times to be hypnotised in Las Vegas by the stage hypnotists out there. And again, purely and simply because I was thinking, I knew what they were doing. I was thinking about it too much. So it took me 6 times. And by that time, I'd already hypnotised hundreds of thousands of people.
Wow.
With hypnotherapy, I've got 2 people that I use to hypnotise me using therapy. And that's only because it's always good to keep your mind on track.
Yes.
And yes, I do self-hypnotise, but it's much better if you've got somebody else doing it for you.
It's interesting.
Cool. All right. Well, Mark, should we go to we've got our normal finisher, which is 6 from 6. We know we've got to get you out of here. So do you have time for 3 questions from me, 3 questions from Tommy to wrap it up?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Dun, dun, dun.
Alrighty. So my first question, my friend, is your favourite travel destination on the planet, somewhere you've been that you just love to recommend to other people.
I love Las Vegas. And it's not because of the gambling. I don't gamble, but for the shows. I just love the ambience, the atmosphere. So Las Vegas.
Cool. No worries. And my next question, similar vein, but your dream destination, somewhere that you haven't been that's absolute top of your bucket list?
I really want to go to India. I've got a thing about it for some reason. Yeah, definitely.
That's actually right up there for me as well.
Is it? Yeah, great place.
What makes you want to go to India, you think, or
just got a certain attraction to it? I've really got an attraction to India for some reason. I don't know what it is. And my wife wants to go to Madagascar as one of her dream travel destinations, but in my head, it's always said India. I don't know what.
You know what, Mark? Have you read Shantaram, the book Shantaram?
Shantaram, no.
You should read. It's my favourite book. One of our guests a couple of weeks ago also mentioned it as his all-time favourite book. It's set in India, and that's what made me want to go to India. And if you already want to go to India, read Shantaram, and you'll book a ticket. I'm telling you, it's great. It's a great read. So that actually segues nicely into my next question, which is about books, and that is, do you have any books that you'd like to recommend to people? They can be any sort of genre that you like to pass on.
Yes, absolutely. I came from a very, very bad background, and to get my mindset in the right place, I started reading quotes and things. And one of the very first books I ever started reading was The Magic of Thinking Big. A great book, fantastic. Another one, I went to a seminar many, many years ago, and a guy, Peter Span, Australian guy, and his book's called Wealth Magic, and it's just a great, inspiring book. And those really are two of the best books I've read, without a doubt.
Beautiful. Tommy?
Hey, Mark, what do you like to do when you have some spare time or when you have some downtime?
I've got 4 kids, so I love to spend time with my kids, my wife, and I love to read. I like reading a lot, so Shantaram is definitely going to be on my bucket list to get that soon. Beautiful. And I love just going out for drives. We just go out for a drive, and family to me is huge because I didn't have a lot of that when I was young, so it's very big to me.
Question 1A, do you ever hypnotise your family?
No, I make it a rule never to hypnotise family or really good friends.
That's fair. I can't imagine you'd have many close friends if you kept hypnotising them all. Number 2, mate, who is someone you look up to or someone that inspires you?
There's never really been anyone I look up. I like a guy called Paul McKenna as a hypnotist. Again, can I say 3 people? Is it the 3 people you're talking about? Or
No. That comes next, my friend. Don't get too excited.
Premature, you see.
Yeah, that's right.
So I look up. No, it's really bizarre, isn't it? I look up to people that probably in the same field. So other hypnotists I look up to. Paul McKenna, he's a great hypnotist. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. And finally, my friend, here we go. Okay. If you could invite 3 people to dinner, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Well, one of them's definitely Winston Churchill, and that's because, I've gone through a very rough life until many years ago, but he had a quote, and it's, if you're going through hell, just keep going. And I abide by that quote all the time. It's one of the quotes that if I'm going through a really rough time with anything, I just instantly think of that quote and I keep going. So definitely Winston Churchill. Peter Span, the guy that I was just talking about, and I've got no links to him at all apart from the fact that I've read his book and seen his seminar. Fantastic guy. So Peter Span is a motivational speaker in Australia. And definitely Richard Branson. I did work for Richard Branson many, many years ago, and he's the most wonderful, wonderful guy.
I'm actually reading The Virgin Way by Richard Branson at the moment, and it's the most epic book because out of all the business leaders that I've read about or listened to or know anything about, he's the one that just resonates with me. Everything that he says and does is just bang on how there's many different ways to be successful, but bang on how
You want to be a virgin.
I like to do things. I love his outlook on everything.
Most incredible guy, and I'll just very quickly tell you this. I went to a staff party of his many years ago, He spent over £3 million on this staff party. He had everything there this was in his garden at his country home. Every single person that got off the bus, and there was about 2,500 people. It was a boiling hot day, probably 80 degrees, and in the UK that's hot. Yeah. And he stood there and shook hands with every single person that got off that bus.
Shit.
Amazing guy. Amazing guy. So,
legend.
yeah, please, when you read his books, they're phenomenal. So, please, yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, Mark, that was great. Finally, mate, where can people find you, and anything you want to plug, your social medias? Now is the time, my friend.
Fantastic. I appreciate that very much. If they want Hypnosis, hypnotist.com.au is my Hypnotist website. I would love people that are going through a hard time or that have been through a hard time to go to my new book. It's called The Rogue Hypnotist. It's theroguehypnotist.com. And they can get a free copy of my book and see what I went through in life to come out the other side and move onwards and upwards. It's a very inspiring book.
Beautiful. Well, Mark, that was legendary, mate. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mark. And that's a wrap.
Alrighty, team. Hope you enjoyed that show. As always, give us a rating review on iTunes. Helps us climb the ladder. If there was anything that we said that you enjoyed or wanted to have a listen to again or follow up with some extra information on, head to adventurefittravel.com, guys. Head to the radio tab. Click on the episode that you listened to, this one obviously being that one, and you can have a look at all the links at the bottom of the page that take you to the stuff that we were talking about. Guys, head to Audible, www.audibletrial.com/ADVF radio. You will get 1 free credit when you sign up to their monthly subscription, $14.99. Tons of trips coming up with Adventure Fit Travel, guys. Head to www.adventurefittravel. Get 10% off all merch when you use the code word radio. And guys, keep spreading the Adventure Fit Radio love. Until next week, bye-bye for now.
Discovery Roger, go for deploy.